you're pretty much saying that the way that we show up now in later life is due to a certain period of time in our early childhood where we responded to something. And in my mind, I'm wondering if it could equally be responding to positive things versus responding to maybe like trauma, whether it's lower T trauma or capital T trauma. And I'm realizing the factuality of that based off of like my upbringing and my parents and my mom and dad, who were always positive, and they never showed us any like the angry side or the frustrated side or the stress side. We only saw positive. And what they would do is they would just go into their, like, if any of them are dealing with that, they go into their separate spaces and deal with it on their own, so that when they come back to us, like, they are positive and genuinely, like, they've in a sense cracked the code of being able to be resilient about dealing with your emotions and managing them, but they managed it solo. And so the way that it shows up for me now is like, I'm all about positivity, and it's hard for me to narrow in on those negative emotions. And that's probably why I show up the way that I show up. So it's really interesting that you brought that up.
I want to counter that with just asking, don't you think that openly processing negative emotions is a part of being a human being and something that adults need to also be equipped to know how to do? So I guess I'm just trying to figure out, what is your outlook or process now, as an adult, having had that as your perspective as an upbringing? Because of course, I obviously know as a parent, I don't want my kid to ever see the bad part. But I do think it's important for my son to see me cry sometimes or get frustrated, because those are normal human emotions, and I need to show him the right way to deal with it, not to condition him to think that it needs to be hidden. It's something wrong with this negative emotion, so it needs to be private.
Yeah.
Just because it's not smiles. So I'm just curious, I guess your thoughts or do you feel like, I know you said you show up positively, but do you feel like that presents issues for you being able to connect with people when things are not positive, I guess?
Yeah, I would say that is one of my greatest flaws that I'm working on, is being able to show up in those moments when there's just an overflow of negative emotions. And it's not necessarily to say that I don't feel the emotions. And what I'm trying to say is it's normal to feel the entire range of emotions. I think just for me, the way that I approach it is, and I'm still working on this, but I approach it in the idea that if something goes wrong, then instead of focusing on how I feel about it, I'm focused on the solution to the problem, because I know that if I solve the problem, then it's going to make me feel better. And so for me, it's kind of like a shortcut to productivity, where it's like, I personally, there's certain moments where it's okay to really sit in that emotion and sit in it. But for me, a lot of times how I navigate is I'm just going to bypass however I'm feeling. I'm going to go to the gym, whether I feel happy or sad or depressed or anxious. I know I still need to go to the gym. So it's a way that has worked for me so far, but it's something that I'm still striving for, that balance.
Yeah, no, I understand that for sure. I'm actually reading a book now, and it explores something that I'm exploring for myself personally called, a part of the book is exploring your protective self. And as you were speaking, it reminded me of that part of the book when they explore your protective self, which is basically like a you that comes in place when there's a core wound that's involved. So whether that's trauma, whatever, and yeah, like this obviously, just it's not about, I'm not trying to, I'm definitely not a therapist, so I'm not I'm not trying to go too deep or anything like that. But I find that, I feel like we all not even knowingly sometimes really be living in our protective selves, because what you, like you just said, it's not that you don't feel this feeling, but you're like, okay, well, how do I get, I'm going to focus on the solution, but that's not addressing the core wound.
Yeah.
It's just addressing the protection.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's a work in progress.
Yeah. And I'm not saying, and I'm saying I'm reading the book because I do it too, in a different way, but same issue. Yeah. So I'm not, picking on you or anything like that, but I didn't even realize until, kind of reading that book and diving into that, just philosophy that, oh, wow, like, you know, we do. And our protective self is very big and strong. Like, it tells us a whole bunch, oh, no, you're not going to let people play with you. Or, oh, no, you're not going to do this. And it's like, that's not, it's not wrong. It's just not 100% true either. It's kind of like, you know, getting into like the faith talk that I kind of started with you offline. Like, you know, when you talk about people say, oh, I don't know if it's like the enemy talking to me or whatever. Well, a good way to know it is like, you know, God is not going to ever tell you what's not, you know, 100% true. A lot of times it's easy to listen to the voice of the enemy because it's almost true. It's like, yeah, that almost sounds right, but this one thing, you know what I mean? And that gets tricky too. But one thing I wish the parents would have said is that stop saying I can't wait till I grow up. Yes, you can wait because it's rough out here.
You can wait. You can wait.
Yes.